What's up, guys? Welcome another episode of Tall and Taller. The Tigers, man, just ended up getting walked off again this week. Swept by the Chicago White Sox on the South Side. Um, Between the two plays, the play yesterday, bouncing off the umpire's mask, and then the grand slam today to end it in the bottom of the ninth. Two walk-offs. I kind of feel like the baseball gods hate us. I know it was about this time last year where I had the same topic name up. You're to the point now where maybe May was just not to say May was a fluke because I think if we had, but it was a fun May while we had it. I think it was where this season's going at this point. And I mean, I'm not trying to overreact here, but when you lose um, your best pitcher and your best hitter 2 days apart, um, kind of have some bad mojo going there.
So, kind of the good news is it doesn't sound like Green's injury is as bad as it once thought to be. I read today.
So it
I forget
says
I
on
forget the
MLB.
terminology they used, but they upgraded him. Sounds like he might be back a little bit sooner than expected. So that's good.
Yeah, and so it says on MLB, I have our IL pulled up because I was definitely gonna name the book that we have on our IL. Um, you have Riley Green. It was upgraded from a stress fracture to a stress reaction.
Reaction. Yeah, see, I'd never heard that before.
Neither did I. I'm not really sure. It says Tigers clarified the injury is a stress reaction, a condition more common among basketball players rather than a fraction. Can be a precursor.
Yep.
I don't know. It's a precursor to a fracture. Um, my guess is now. My guess it's so. Reading that, it sounds like a very serious case of shin splints, like
Yes.
almost. But I mean, that's at least that's what I'm reading just on the IL list. But I mean, you have, and it's not only Green and Eduardo Rodriguez going down. Dad, do you know that all of our would have been starting rotation this year is out? You have Casey Mize out, hasn't started. Casey Mize might not even return this season. Matt Manning should possibly be back in June. They're saying there's two. Tarek Skubal, another plan we haven't seen this year. Started his minor league rehab habits. Should be back this month, hopefully. Spencer Turnbull goes down with an injury on his neck. What May? I don't remember when he went down, but he's supposed to return this month. So I mean, I guess now that I'm actually looking over this a little bit better, because I know Eduardo Rodriguez has no idea when he's going to be back yet. There's still TBD. Um, but to have what would have been your whole starting five this season not out there, and now you can add into that Alex Faedo, who was pulled up to come play, and now he's out with middle finger discomfort. He's on the 10-day. I mean, it just not having Matt Vierling goes down. Uh,
Right.
Austin Meadows having this anxiety thing he's had for 2 years. I mean, like I'm not hating on that at all, but
Right.
it just seems like we talk about it. I think every fucking week, at least in the off season of Michigan football, Michigan basketball. It seems as though we all know Detroit. There's some curse around the city of Detroit right now. And I think it's the curse of fucking Chauncey Billups getting traded for AI. But we won't.
That was a blessing, not a curse.
Okay,
Okay.
Chauncey
For one.
Billups. Chauncey Billups is the only player who has a winning record against Michael Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron. So
Well,
the
he
cat
played
got your tongue.
against Jordan at the end of Jordan's career, right?
So still
And
has a winning record.
Kobe when he was a baby.
Kobe was what?
Kobe was a baby when Kobe was not in his prime when we beat them in the playoffs. Kobe was still growing
Kobe
into.
was Kobe. Kobe was Kobe in 2004.
No, he was not.
Oh my!
Not
Kobe was
even
Kobe in
close.
2004.
Not even close.
Kobe was almost 10 years in the league.
Yeah, he come in the league at 17.
He came in 1996.
So 8 years. So Kobe
I
was
said almost 10.
25 years old.
If you're telling
Again,
me that,
Kobe was a baby when that happened. He wasn't Mamba yet.
without Kobe, that Lakers team ain't there.
Without Robert Ory, that team ain't there either. What's your point? Without Shaq, that team ain't there.
Without
Without
Shaq,
Chauncey Billups, the Pistons still win a championship. If Allen Iverson come 5 years earlier, then we probably have 3
shut the
championships.
fuck up.
I'm not joking. I like to rattle your nerves about Chauncey because you love to suck his dick and he's a bum.
He's not a.
He is a bum.
Anyways.
If he walked into my front door right now, I'd tell him to get out of here, bum.
Okay. I would like to see that. All right, well, guys, that's our Chauncey rant for the day, I guess. Back to the Tigers. As I said, well, and really, with the Tigers, it's kind of it's deja vu. It really is from last season. As in 2022 last season, all of our starting pitchers were on the IL at one point. I think we actually had almost double our starting pitchers in the AL. The ones that even came up for them ended up on the AL last year, or the IL. I'm sorry, not AL. It couldn't really come at a more horrible time for the Tigers. I mean, they finished 16-11, looking up, and in May, finished 2 games out of first place.
Right. That was kind of my point. They were clawing and climbing, right, even with everything else. And you know, I think a lot of that hats off to Hinch, right? And
Hinch, and I'm going to give a fuck ton of credit to Chris Fetter, because Chris Fetter has that bullpen started the season absolutely ferocious, and that bullpen has became one of the most, I think, one of the best bullpens in the MLB. Like between especially the back end with Foley and Alex Lang. I mean, Alex Lang did give up a shitty inning today, but that doesn't show what he's done throughout the rest of the season. Let me look here. I think the Tigers are. I don't know if the Twins are playing today, but I think with the loss today, okay, my guess is they don't play. As of right now, the Tigers and Cleveland are tied for second at 3.5 games. So, I mean, if all them players do end up coming back in June, and we do get Matt Manning back, Tarek Skubal, Spencer Turnbull back in June, we just kind of, in my opinion, we got to ride the storm. I mean, we have not easy games coming up. We play Philly. Philly's a below 500 team, but still not a team that you can look at and push over. And then we play Arizona, Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks are 11 games over 500. And then we play the Braves. The Braves, 10 games over. I was really wishing the Braves game, would be down here this year, because I definitely would have made the road trip to Atlanta for that game. But it's hopefully there next year, and I'll do it then. But I think if we can ride that wave out between these next 3 series with these National League teams, and all those players do end up coming back, we can get Riley Green back in July. There's still a good chance that we can compete for first place. I mean, the AL Central, as we all know, is not good. The Twins are in first place, and they're 2 games above 500. But, I mean, we'll see. It's really just going to depend on, again, how those players, if they do come off the IL, perform. Coming off the IL, especially like Matt Manning, who's been on the IL since last year. Same thing with Tarek Skubal since last year. Been up there. Um,
Yep.
haven't really played baseball since they've gotten hurt. So we'll have to see where that comes into play. Um, look at this real quick. With the Tigers here, what's it say? I was gonna try. I don't know. My phone's not working, so screw it. We'll see how that goes with the Tigers.
Well, the good news is, and you kind of alluded to it, is that right around 500, slightly above 500 is going to get you in probably, right? Um, you're not going to have to win 100 games to compete in the Tigers division this year.
No, you probably got to win 80 to 90 games.
Yeah, 85 is kind of what I had in mind. So we're on the same page there. So that's the only thing that's kind of got me thinking that there's a chance this season, because it'll never happen, but I think Hinch is making a case for manager of the year for himself with the job that he's done with the talent that we have and the injuries that we've had. And yeah, the Central is garbage, but they've been fairly competitive. Ever since he ripped into Javi's ass.
Oh yeah. So then what?
Kind of sparked the whole team. Sparked Harvey or Javi, and I think that sparked the whole team.
Javi's fell off batting, but I got into it with somebody. I got into somebody with it on Twitter the other day, and one of our and they were bitching about Javi's fielding percentage this year and how he's a shitty fielder. And I said, hold on. I was like, y'all think Javi's a shitty fielder? Javi, yes. Javi might have one of I think he's fourth or fifth in errors. But if you look at the top, it's because he's getting the ball hit to him so much. I've looked at the amount of hits, balls he's had hit to him where he's actually had his opportunities compared to his errors, and it's the same as if somebody's getting a normal shortstop. I'm like, guys, let's relax. Javi's fucking career fielding percentage, a 963.
See, I was gonna say 980. I knew it was up there.
The dude is not a bad fielder. The dude's probably the best fielding shortstop in the MLB. Let's relax there. He's not named El Mago for a reason.
Right. So Javi's thing to me is that he makes the spectacular plays, right? But occasionally he just kicks these routine ones, and
it almost seems to me as a brain, he has a brain fart,
right? Like a concentration issue, right? I don't know, but that's what frustrates me, and I just, for the last few years, I have greatly reduced the amount of Tiger games I watch because I just get too frustrated. But
yeah, I try to do that. It don't work.
What's
Especially when I said I tried to do that today. I tried not to watch it. Then the NASCAR race got suspended, so I was like, well, I guess I'll watch it. Maybe we'll win. And then a grand slam to walk it off. I was like,
yeah.
Y'all can see my reaction to that on Twitter or Facebook. But I mean, this team is. I don't really know what to say about this team because we haven't seen the fucking team that we would actually have.
Right.
And I'm worried about how Casey Mize is going to come back, how Matt Manning's going to come back, how Tarek Skubal, all of our young arms, all the people we got in the draft or got traded for that are young arms that were supposed to be great arms. Tarek Skubal, Matt Manning, and Casey Mize are all supposed to be the pitchers to get us over that hump. We brought Eduardo Rodriguez in to help teach them what they need to know because Eduardo's that veteran. Man, it just okay. I'm sorry if these mother. Sorry, interrupt real quick. If Michigan comes back in this game, if it is 21-14 before halftime, I might lose my shit on this podcast because it was 21-0 with like 4 minutes to go, and now it's 21-7 with 16, and they're on the 10-yard line. Anyways, sorry. Uh, what was I saying? Not Javi.
Eduardo.
Yeah. So Eduardo, they were brought in to teach them, and he hasn't been able to work with them because they've been hurt. I get they're resting them and had them get this surgery now, so we don't have to hopefully worry about that in the upcoming years. But it just sucks to see because they were so supposed to be so exciting. And I mean, I know we got arms in the minors, things like that we need to do, but we'll see how it goes for the rest of the year. Hopefully, we get all them arms back and possibly make a run and maybe give some enjoyment to Detroit fans for the first time in a few years in any sport.
So the thing is, right? The thing that concerns me the most is like like you mentioned, some of these guys have been out a while, been on extended time, going back to last season, right? And you just don't.
And Casey Mize might not even return this year. That's what
Right.
that's what the update says.
But you just don't step in and pick up where you left off. That's not the way baseball works. You know,
I don't know.
it takes
Look
some
at
time.
Justin. Look at Justin Verlander. I get Justin Verlander's older, but
Yep.
Justin Verlander comes back and has not had a good year so far. Whether that's because of the age, I mean, it's probably a mix because of the age of Justin Verlander now, and probably the end after the surgery.
Right.
But you gotta, you just never know how you're gonna come back. Justin Verlander could have came back and gave up 8 runs a game and never played another day of baseball in his life.
Right.
But let's move on to something a little bit more positive. And at least in the Detroit sports world, Monty WIlliams, t- sorry, Detroit Pistons hire Monty WIlliams. Um, at least for me, I know we talked about it as I was someone that was expecting and fully like wanted and supported like Doc Rivers getting the job, but I'm like, for me, Monty's definitely not a bad pick either. We all know his rap sheet. Um, he's proved, just like Doc has, that he can take teams and turn them around, whether it's with the Pelicans taking them to the playoffs or with the Suns. I mean, the Suns, the 3 seasons before him were we're 24 and 58, 21 and 61, and 19 and 63. The 19 to 63 is the year before he got there, and then the year he got there, in 2020, he went 34 and 39. Then 2021, 51 and 21, made the NBA Finals. 21, 2022, 64 and 18, lost in the Western Conference Finals, semifinals. But they did have the best record that season. And that was also the year that he won NBA Coach of the Year. 2023, 45 and 37, lost in the Western Conference Finals this season. Um, but I mean, he is the winningest coach since 2021 in all of the NBA. That's why it's shocking to me that he was not, that he was open. But apparently the Suns didn't like what they see. I mean, I don't know. I guess because he hasn't won the finals,
So
he gets a team there but doesn't finish it.
right, and it's just like a team that takes time. I guess I'll just talk about this. So Matt Sheba, right? Sparties. He was a walk on in Michigan State's championship team
Yeah,
with the Flintstones.
Joker should have beat the shit out of
Took
him.
over. He made KD happen, and then he fires Monty. So he's obviously got some vision, and sure, this is a little Sparty hate, but the guy already comes across as an asshole to me. Just the way he handles himself and talks to the media. He sounds like a little arrogant prick, and if I was 35 years old and was worth $10 billion, I probably would be too, to be fair. So whatever. But it is what it is. But to me, Monty Williams is a top three to five coach in the NBA, and he is, to me, again, he was far and away the best coach available. And Tom Gores, I read an article, kind of like the anatomy of the deal, how it's set up, is that Troy Weaver called him and he's like, you know what, I'm really not interested. I'm gonna take a year off.
Yeah.
Troy gives him a couple days, calls him back, and he says, listen, Troy, I told you I'm really not interested. I appreciate you reaching out, but he says, if I was interested in coaching this year, you are one of two teams that I would be interested in coaching with. Well, Weaver relays that to Gores, and Gores is like, oh, bet. And I don't think very much of Gores as an owner at all, just because it's not been great under him. But, he kind of did the same thing with Stan Van Gundy and
Stan Van Gundy was a fucking Stan Van Gundy was a disaster though.
So Stan Van and Dwayne Casey were both at the end of their careers, right? And I think that in hindsight, they both kind of took the paycheck and let's get out of here. And Monty Williams may or may not work out, but Tom Gores took that as a challenge and kept increasing his offer till he couldn't say no.
What did he get? He ended up with like 72 million.
78, I believe, was the number.
I knew it was in the 70s.
Yeah. So I'm not sure, even though I think that he was by far the best coach available and the best fit for us, that he's worth all that, because you got Pop out there with whatever he's got, 5-6 titles, and there's some guys out there that won one, right? But Doc Rivers, to me, oh, hang on, I got this backwards. Monty Williams, to me, is Doc Rivers 2.0, and he's a hell of a lot younger and hasn't had the opportunities that Doc had. But Doc got fired from the Clippers for not making it big, for not winning.
Oh yeah, they would get to the second
Celtics,
round.
the Sixers. I mean, that's kind of Doc's earned that title, where I think Monty hasn't quite earned it yet. And
I mean, he did get there with the Celtics.
He did, but
that was a hell of a fucking team the Celtics had. I mean, that was prime when the Pistons were good. That was the Pistons, Lakers. The Pistons, Lakers, Celtics, Spurs. I mean, it seems like when those three teams are good, or four teams really, that's like the best time in the NBA. I mean, you go back to when the Bad Boys were around, when Jordan and Bird and Magic. Wait, I'm fucking this up, aren't I? I'm not old enough. Did they all play in the same era? Someone's getting yelled at by the wife.
No, I'm not. She just rolled up the grocery store. Are we going to do the show, or are you going to play your dumb jokes?
What dumb joke? Oh, be quiet. I got to make something to put on YouTube. No. What was Oh, I was going to ask you. Did I just fuck that all up? No, they all played in the same era. Jordan, Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Jordan, correct? They all played in the same era, right? Thank you. I thought so. I thought I fucked it up at first, and I was like, I'm not that old. No.
Jordan was a little late in the game, but yeah.
He was the youngest out of all of them. But I'm saying, like, that was when the Celtics, Lakers, and Pistons were all good. Even back then, it was the best time in basketball. I mean, you can go back in the NBA and look at that.
Sure.
And when all those teams have been good, it's been the best basketball. Whether it's back then, 2000, early 2000s, when everyone was good, and then hopefully soon again it'll get back to that. I mean, but going off the Doc Rivers thing, I wanted Doc more because he's never failed at getting a team good again. He's getting a team
Neither is
back at the top.
Monty.
And yeah, Monty hasn't, but
Doc's got a
Monty,
longer track record for sure.
he got a longer track record. Monty, in my opinion, got ran out of New Orleans a little bit too early. I mean,
He
it
did.
ended up because I mean they made the playoffs and then wasn't a lot. They didn't coach again. I mean, uh, he had some personal stuff happen the next season, so it was probably best that it happened.
Yep.
But that's
And
in my
I think
opinion, Doc's track record is better than his. But Doc, as you said, with Casey and Van Gundy, was that they were at the end of their careers, and and that's where Doc Rivers is. Doc Rivers has been a coach for 20 plus years.
Yeah, at least I would say, and I think that probably played a part in it. And I think side by side comparisons, they're very similar guys. Doc obviously had a better NBA career. Monty's was cut short by a heart condition, but Monty worked under Troy Weaver in OKC, and I wouldn't have been unhappy with Doc, but I think it would have followed a pattern here. We're throwing prime money at a guy that's out of his prime, and
Yeah, Doc's been a head coach since 1999.
Okay, so 16, 14 years.
1999, Dad. That's 20.
Oh, sorry, 20. Yeah,
that's 24.
24. Yeah,
I'm the one that's bad with math, not you.
I've only been awake a half hour, so there you go.
Well,
so I think that Monty. I was shocked when Monty Williams got fired. Shocked. And the only thing that kind of lessened that is I thought, okay, new owner, he just wants his own people, which a lot of guys do, and that's fine. But a guy that 4 or 5 seasons ago, the Suns are where the Pistons are now. Like they won 19 games, and then boom, 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 boom. And,
yeah, like
and
I said,
maybe
they hadn't won more than 25 games in 3 seasons before he came.
Right. Maybe maybe Monty's not the guy to get us on a championship run, but I think he's the guy to build us to get us there. And honestly, nobody knows if we even have that talent right now, right? Because Cade's such an unknown. He's had injury problems, and if he can't stay healthy, he's not. And even if he can stay healthy, we just don't know because he hasn't had enough time to put anything together. And more than anything, that's really put a damper on his development. He's pretty much, this is pretty much his sophomore season coming up, right? So we'll see what happens, but I like it. I'm excited about it. I feel good about the directions of all the teams, but man, my patience is running thin. It's been a long time since we've had somebody to be genuinely excited about.
Yep. Yeah. It's been a rough time. But hopefully Monty can come in, be worth the money, and do what he does other places. Like I said, I'm with you. Let him come in, even if he doesn't win us championship, get us to that level. We're making the playoffs every season. But hopefully he can come in and get us back to that championship level. Let us win another championship, hopefully. But we'll see how it goes there. Now we'll move on to one, at least for me, has been one of my favorite topics because I've actually learned a lot about it, and it's helped out. It's the Michigan State, the rivalry, covering. I know when we left off last. Hang on, sorry. Michigan still hadn't lost. They were 6. Hang on, I'd have to go back and look, but I think at this point they were. Let me look real quick. Did they win 1 or 2? No, so they were 6-0-1 versus Michigan Agricultural. Fuck it, MSU. Words are hard. At this point, but MAC is they're proving that they were getting better and getting closer to pulling off a possible upset. And an upset it definitely would be. We'll go on talking about from 1913 and 1915 those games. Games 8 through 10. I mean, you have first game, game 8. Was played on October 18th, 1913. It's played at Ferry Field in Ann Arbor. Both Michigan and MAC came into that game undefeated. MAC looked very good in their first 2 games versus Olivet and Alma. While in Ann Arbor, Coach Yost entered his 13th season and had actually concerns about his 1913 team scoring points. It's a surprise because just 2-3 years before this, his teams were scoring 500-600 points a season. And now he has worries. Main thing was could the Aggies take advantage of these concerns and were they true?
Right.
Let me tell you that this game is what all MAC fans back then had been waiting for since 1998 or 1898. I'm sorry. The Farmers from East Lansing came to Ferry Field that day and pulled out the 12-7 victory over 12-7 upset, not even just a victory. Behind quarterback play of George Wolverine Killer Gothers, however you say his name. His performance at quarterback that day was the main reason he was able to keep MAC on the field consistently. I do have to pull out the book because it was way too much to type, and I just made some highlights here about it. And you'll find this funny. I found it hilarious just reading it. I know it was funny. So following that win, like I said, it was 12-7. They finally pull off that victory. Okay. Where'd it go? Aggies fans that day at the game, there's about 1,000 they estimated to be at the game. They were not very gracious of this victory, as we all know, even to this day. The Detroit Free Press reported that 2 Aggies fans were actually arrested for throwing bottles and other rowdy behaviors. Back then.
So this goes back over 100 years. Shocker.
Oh no! Oh yeah, no, I
They
know.
always
Right?
been little brother.
It's not well, and it makes it even better because to make matters worse, the MAC ROTC cadet band had the audacity to parade through Ann Arbor playing the victors. Of course, back then MAC didn't have a fight song. At that time, so they decided to play our fight song and use it as their fight song. As they paraded through Ann Arbor, not just paraded through East Lansing, they paraded through Ann Arbor. I mean, this just goes back and just shows you that it's. I say it later on in my notes too, but this just goes on to show you like this rivalry has always been the way that we've seen it be. Even in Michigan down years, it was still just. It's not as disgusting as the Michigan Ohio State rivalry gets or vicious,
right?
But it's still a pretty vicious rivalry. Even though, like when I say vicious, maybe not always the winning losing of each team, as we see by the overall record. But the play on the field and what happens on the field, it's so there's a lot of hate between these two teams. I mean, I won't get into something I want to get into, and I'll wait till the end to get into that. That way we can move on with the storybook here because I really want to go on a rant right now, but I'm not gonna. But MAC went on that season to finish 7-0, and it was actually MAC's first undefeated season um, in their history. And Michigan actually finished strong too. They kind of used that loss to MAC as like a fire under their ass, and actually finished 6-1. So I mean, next season coming to 1914, Michigan's going to be coming in looking for that revenge. MAC is going to want to. Hey, this isn't a fluke. We're here to play.
Right.
But we'll move on to that game. The game was played. Game 9 was played October 17th, 1914. This game was played at Old College Field in East Lansing. After finally getting their win over Michigan in 1913, MAC knew Michigan would be looking for revenge, which definitely they wanted it. Michigan came into this game 4-0, looking to put a squash to the Aggies, and MAC came in 2-0, looking to make winning versus the Wolverines a trend, not just a one-time thing. This game was a hard-fought defensive battle. There's not a lot to talk about in this game because when I say it was a hard-fought defensive battle, Michigan pulled out the win 3-0 on a late field goal in the fourth quarter by kicker Lawrence Splawn. Yes, Splawn. Why are names? I'm sorry. I want to take a time out. Why are names back then so fucking hard to pronounce and spelled weird?
Say that last part again.
I said, why are names back then so hard to like pronounce and spell?
So much more.
There was a lot. I mean, I know why, but it's like Jesus. I mean, that was again, 1914 was over 100 years ago. So, but yeah, I'm like, man, I was like sitting here like writing notes and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I'm not writing down that name. Okay, but like I said, Michigan was able to was able to get the revenge that season. But probably not in the way that they wish they did. They did get the win, but they probably wanted to come out and do what they did to them back in the early years. And that I think it was 1908 when they beat them 128-0. They probably want to do that to them in 1914. If I had to guess. Sorry, 119-0, and it would have been in 19. Yeah, 1906. So Michigan, after that, though, they said they got their revenge. Michigan then finished the 1914 season 6-3, while the MAC finished season 5-2, making again a good season for both teams. I mean, both teams are kind of at this point, they're pretty even on how they finish their seasons every year. Now you move on to Game 10 in 1915, October 23rd. MEC comes back up to Ann Arbor to play at Ferry Field, which this game is actually one of the highest attendance radius for the rivalry game at the time, which was like 21,000. And man, did MAC come to play football in 1915. Coming into the game that season, MAC was 3-0, outscoring opponents 168-12 in those three games. Michigan came in looking good too, though. They started the season 4-0. But the Aggies turned out to be way too much for the Wolverines that day. MAC shut out Yost Wolverines 24-0 behind fullback Nino Jerry DePrato. Huge day. He went for 137 on the ground as a fullback. I mean, I get fullback back then was the running back. But again, man, Michigan State, I mean, MAC fans continued their arrogance and their prickedness of, oh, we win a game, we're going to act like we're going to burn the fucking world down. Burning couches because, once again, the Farmers from MAC had pulled off a win they probably weren't supposed to, even though they were good that season. They were actually really good that season. Once again, the MAC ROTC cadet band marched through the streets of Ann Arbor playing the victors. Once again, I mean, to me, that just pisses me off even just thinking about it. Can you imagine now? I get MAC has like their own fight song. Like Michigan State has their own fight song now, but could you imagine like being back then and hearing your fight song be played by like
Right.
that, like through Ann Arbor? Like, I mean, I couldn't imagine. Like, I wish, like for stuff like this, I wish like phones and stuff were around back then, just because I would love to see videos
Right.
and things of this. And I mean, there's probably some type of video somewhere about it, but it would be awesome to see it and just to see and know how people reacted. Like if we had Twitter back then, like what the fuck was going on in Ann Arbor on Twitter, what Michigan Twitter was doing, what Michigan State Twitter was doing back then. I
Right.
mean, I think I try to tie that into everything, especially now in the world where after every show or after every time I talk about it, because of that. Because that season, Michigan did not finish good. Michigan finished 4-3-1, um, and you know for a fact that there was panic had set in Ann Arbor at this point, um, especially when MAC finished 5-1, only kind of having that winner's high the next game against Oregon State. Um, it would be really interesting. I wish that if I had more time for this stuff, I would definitely do more research, like at least on the internet part of it, on like
Right.
trying to like find articles and things like that. Um, that's why I wish we could just do this as a living, but there's no there's no way. Like, but it would be absolutely awesome to find stuff like that. Um, and I might have to for next show just to kind of do some research this week, um, to see if I can find any articles or videos, just some cool stuff about it. Um, but to summarize up those 3 seasons, um, Michigan still led the series 7-2, but in those 3 games were 1-2. Um, but you could tell this rivalry had the little things, um, that would begin to turn this rivalry nasty and to the nasty rival that we see today. From the MAC band marching through Ann Arbor playing the victors, or the fans throwing the bottles and trash on the field at players. Um, or even today, when you have Michigan State fans jumping and beating Michigan players in the tunnel, which it's the tunnel's fault, guys. That's the tunnel's fault. I mean, but yes, it's the nasty rival we see today that allows you to beat people up for no reason in a tunnel who aren't doing anything. But it's the tunnel's fault. It's too small. But
Right. So I would like to see this tradition restarted. We go up to East Lansing this year and kick the shit out of them. See the marching band march right out of the stadium and just march around the tailgate area, playing "Hail to the Victors."
dude, it would honestly be
They'll for sure get assaulted, but it'd be fun to watch.
Oh, dude, could you imagine the fucking shit that band would get? You think your elbow to the Ohio State dude band member was fucking bad? Our band
Right.
members would be fucking 99% of be in the hospital.
So that just popped in my head, the Ohio State thing, right? And it hasn't happened. I haven't thought about it in years, but when Ohio State week comes next season, we'll have to bring that up.
Are you gonna remember to do the show that season? Or are you gonna take another gummy and not be able to do the show for the Michigan Ohio State game?
You never know. No
I mean,
promises.
well, I'll be in Michigan because I'll be going to the game again because Aaron's definitely going to the game. I will pay for his ticket because every time Aaron's went, Michigan's lost in the past 3 seasons. So we're not changing that fucking topic. So like I
Right.
said, guys, if y'all want to chip in, let me know because I mean, when you start to GoFundMe to get this man to the game because I'm all about it. Let's continue this trend. But no, pull my notes back up here. I mean, so really it's up to buckle up now because We got another 108 years to cover. I mean, at some point, I'll probably jump around. Um, I we'll see how it goes and what we're still kind of testing. I'm still kind of testing the waters on how I want to do it. Um, I kind of also want to do the math because if I can somehow work this math into like having this end the week of the Michigan State game, that'd be pretty dope. Um, but we'll see how it goes. I got one more thing, real quick. Harbaugh says that Michigan, after who was it? Who? Oh, it was Colson Loveland came out and said that he thinks Michigan's going to be an air raid team this year. Throw the ball, not an air raid team, but throw the ball a little bit more. And then the next day, Harbaugh was at that coaches thing, and
Yep.
I don't remember where it was at. And Harbaugh come out and said, I think we'll be a 50-50 pass run team. When Michigan has never been a 50-50 pass run team. It's been like a 70-30 run pass.
Right. I'd be excited if we were 60-40.
Oh, yeah. Do you actually, like when I asked it, do you actually believe that that's what Harbaugh's plan is? And that's what Sharon Moore and that's what had, well, I guess Jesse Minter wouldn't have anything to do with that but Sharon Moore and Hart and all them have planned? Or do you think that's just Harbaugh playing his games of?
So I think every year that I genuinely feel and believe that that's Harbaugh's intention to pass more, right? But then, all coaches are this way, but I think this is one of the things that Harbaugh excels at is figuring out what we do really well and finding creative ways to do that. And I do think he's been a little too quick to ditch the pass or go away from it a little bit more, in some previous seasons. But I do think his intentions are pure, and he believes what he says when he says it. But then, like last year, uh, we had Blake and Donovan, and I mean, why throw the ball when you're rushing for 400 yards a game? I mean, that's just dumb. Why you don't need to. But the flip side of that, to play against the big boys, CFP, you do have to do that, and I think that may be a part of Jimmy being reinvigorated and talking more about the passes and realizing, hey, we have to develop this. We kind of, for lack, and I don't want to curse this at all, but for lack of a better term, we've kind of got the Big Ten figured out, right? Been on a pretty good run. Now we have to make that next step, and I do think the evolution of the passing game is a big piece of that. So we'll see. I don't know who we really got that it absolutely excites me as far as receiver wise.
I think we have a lot.
And
I think Cornelius Johnson is going to have a heavy year this year.
And
I think Roman Wilson is going to have an explosive year this year. Roman Wilson's the man I'm most excited about. I mean, because we've seen what Cornelius Johnson can do. It's if he wants to do it. I mean, Cornelius Johnson last year had his best season by far. But I will say this: I think Michigan this year. I feel like we've said it the past 2-3 seasons. Really, the past coming in the past 2 seasons, this season and the season about to go into. But I think it's true even now. This team that Harbaugh has, with everyone that actually came back, is by far going to be Harbaugh's best chance to win that natty that he's had so far.
Yeah, I believe that to be true.
Receiving core, you lose Ronnie Bell. That's it. Tight end, you have Colson Loveland coming in, who's a monster already.
Anthony Andrew.
That dude didn't play. I don't count him. The dude played like 7
snaps. He was probably
dude was poo poo.
He's for sure top 2 talented receiver on our team last year. He just didn't, for whatever reason, and this seems to happen every year. That it just didn't work out.
He went to Oklahoma, didn't he? Anthony went to Oklahoma, right?
I think so. That's right. Yeah. I think that every year there's just something that comes up. He really good for us at times, right? But super inconsistent. And I gotta believe at this point that a lot of that is reps in the season.
With
And
the quarterback.
Harbaugh is as big as anybody at any level that I can think of that stresses those wide receivers blocking as much as they do, and that's a big part of the success to our running game, right? But I think that your passing game can't help but suffer. So I think that's the key, is to find some balance, because I think that a lot of times these guys are so focused on blocking or focused on a fake, a block, that millisecond or two throws off their timing of those routes, because they're not practicing that. I don't think when they're running routes here in the summer. They're honing their route running skills, and then when the season starts, they're not getting those full reps. And JJ got banged up, right, 2 seasons ago, and last off season was fairly limited throwing for quite a while, and I think that probably played a part in last year too, because you're back in the day, and I'm sure it still happens. You just don't see it as much. But back in the day, that's all those guys did all summer long. They weren't posting on social media. They weren't out golfing. They weren't out. They were playing catch with the receivers. And if these guys are as serious as they sound, to me, that's where this team takes the biggest leap this year, and needs to take the biggest leap this year, is in the receiving game.
Yeah, like I said, I think we've seen that against Ohio State, though, actually, how threatening, and even against TCU. TCU, Dad, we threw the ball, I think, 400 yards that game. It just didn't matter because TCU was beating us on the defensive side of the ball. Just that one possession, when you take one or two possessions away on on their defense having a good drive, whether it's the pick six or the fucking fumbles, the other pick six, our passing game, that game had to be there, and it was there. And that's why I think this year we are very dangerous. I think that last year Harbaugh held out on a lot of shit until the end of the season. Again, like until Ohio State, when
sure.
hey, Ohio State's selling out in the run. Let's go fucking do what they did to us in 2018, 2019, when our fucking safeties were playing man coverage, and now I'm gonna throw over. Because Jim Knowles, as of right now, is proven, just like Don Brown, that he was too old and stubborn to change that game. Because he stayed in the man coverage and then want to bring pressure. And once you miss Donovan Edwards, when you miss one tackle on the line and you want to bring all the pressure you can, they're gonna be gone. And hopefully, you know what? Hopefully Gary Knowles doesn't change his ways. I pray to God. But I didn't think he was a great hire for Ohio State in the first place. The dude came from Oklahoma State. What team in the fucking Big 12 has a good defense? None.
Right.
None. The Big 12 is an offensive powerhouse, just like the Pac-12. The only two conferences, and even the ACC really, even the only two conferences here that more focus on defense is the Big 10 and the SEC. And the SEC has as of now, has more of a hold on both of them. As we know, because not a Big Ten team ain't won a championship. Well, I guess Ohio State won 2014. So take that back. I was going to say since the early 2000s. But again, Ohio State back then. But I'm going to save this topic for next time. I don't want to go too far down into it because I just thought of a good topic idea. And I think it could send us down another rabbit hole here. I know we both have places to be and places to stuff to do right now. So I'll save it for next time because it's actually really good. And we will ride this into the rest of the weekend. And guys, go follow us on Tall and Taller on Twitter, at Tall and Taller 11. TikTok at Tall and Taller 44. Go follow us on Facebook at Tall and Taller. Go follow us on YouTube at Tall and Taller 528. Sorry, Tall Taller, not Tall and Taller. Tall Taller 528. Everything's posted on our social media websites. If you want to go follow us, please do share with your friends. and have a great rest of your Sunday night. And go blue. Unless I don't know, you got anything? I'm sorry. I guess I didn't ask you if you had anything else on that.
And I don't, but this just popped in my head. We gotta be closing in pretty close on 100 days before our first
It's
game.
90 days.
Yeah. Okay.
Because yesterday was 13 weeks.
Okay.
It was 91 days yesterday.
So not wanting to wish my life or the summer away, but
I do.
I
do.
Yeah.
Michigan,
favorite part of the year for sure.
Michigan Ohio State game's only 25 weeks away.
And Mila will be almost 3. I think I'm gonna take her to her first game this year.
Let's take her to the Michigan Ohio State game.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It would be. I'm
telling
gonna be trashed. I'm in my home state. I'm gonna get trashed. If I'm in my home state,
Mila is down for anything. Like if I told her to step up and tell all the people in red that she would walk around like that the whole day. I promise you she would.
I guarantee she would too. But no. So like I said,
you got to be at least 10, I think. To
are you at least gonna go with? Are you at least gonna go with me this year?
Well, that's the plan, but we'll see.
Why no? But come on, we got to go up there. We got to be there at 6. We got to be there tailgating all morning, drinking. I'll make breakfast. You don't even got to cook, old man. So I can cook better than you now.
Oh, you got
Oh well. That was the wrong thing to say at the end of the show, Dad. Come on. Well, guys, we'll let you hang on that one. Have fun. We'll tell you that story later.
Damn.
All right, guys. Have a good weekend. Go blue, and we'll see y'all next weekend.